Hello, what's up guys? Gids here for another video, and today let's talk about engineer builds that you can do during this state of the game, September of 2022. So it's almost been 100 days, so I'm going to show you the builds that I'm running and also probably some of the builds that you can think of. Okay, but first of all, we all know that endgame build is going to be Milky Way, Chronos, and Decimation. I'm not going to talk over that. I'm just going to talk about the builds that you can do right now if you're a whale free-to-play or just a casual player or someone who spends a bit. So yeah, let's dive into it. Okay, so I've been playing Engineer since day one, so I'm gonna show you the build that I'm working on right now. So I have two builds primarily for PvP. I have one build that's focused on a more supportive role and a second build that's a more DPS role, because sometimes in Lava Valley when you try to fight enemies, you don't know what teammates you're going to get. So you're either going to play a support role or you're going to play a DPS role. So you don't know what you get. So sometimes I just switch around. I think I'm actually trying to build a third deck that's going to be a semi-support that also deals a bit of damage, but more on that later. Okay, so first let's talk about the skills that you want for the engineer, especially for the new engineers out there that are still struggling for their builds. So for skills that you will build or will be buying from domination medals, you're going to have to prioritize flash heal and time lapse. Get that to level 10, and for the passives you want last grace and pure therapy. Okay, those are the skills that you have to prioritize as much as possible whenever you get the chance to buy them from the domination medal shop. Okay, so those are going to be your key skills as engineer, and you're going to see them almost always in builds that I'm going to show you. Okay, so my first build over here is the more supportive build. So let's just go over the decks over here. Okay, so this is my deck number 1, which is my PvP deck number 1. Let me just move right here so you can see all my equipment. Okay, so for the equipment, actually for me it doesn't matter right now what equipment that you have, as long as you're using the equipment that has the highest attack for weapons. And for armor usually it's going to look like this: Saintly Circlet, you're going to have Berserker's gloves, expert boots or the gold boots, it's fine, and the Raider armor, Celestial or whatever. Okay, for accessories, whichever one that you have highest awakened, highest enhanced, use those ones. And for equipment, use whatever equipment you have that has the highest attack. Okay, if you have Milky Way, go ahead and use Milky Way. If you're still thinking about what to get for the rare chest this coming Tuesday, I recommend you get Milky Way right away. Milky Way at Awaken 0 is already super useful, even for me when I didn't even have it at Awaken 1 yet before. It's already super strong and super useful PvP, PvE wise. Okay, so I recommend you get this one. Okay, so let's go over the skills that I chose for my engineer, and of course I'm going to give you options that you can put in instead if you have a different kind of skill sets or different kind of roles that you want to fill in. Because of course, remember, everyone has different circumstances, everyone has different levels of skills and whatsoever. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a general one, and then I'm gonna tell you why I picked mine. Okay, so starting with my support build over here, this is my first PvP build. Right, so you can see here I have Grasping Thorns. So I have Grasping Thorn level 10, Flash Heal level 10, and Time Lapse level 10. As a support role, you're going to want always have Flash Heal and Time Lapse. Actually, as an engineer, you almost always have to have Flash Heal, except when you're farming PvE only. Okay, you almost always have to have Flash Heal because this is a game changer skill. Healing teammates, healing yourself is super crucial when it comes to PvP, because of course, if you don't die, then you have a massive advantage. Next one is Time Lapse. Time Lapse effect is super strong as well, reducing the party's basic skill cooldown by 20%, and also increases the basic skill damage by 25% for 30 seconds. So this is actually super strong because the buff lasts for 30 seconds, and I think you will be able to cast up to 3 basic skills within this duration, so it's super strong. All your basic skills will get 25% increased damage. So if you don't know what your basic skills are, it's the Q, E and R hotkeys on your keyboard. So if you don't know, it's 1Q, E, and your R. Okay, so those 3 skills will be buffed. Same with all other party members. Okay, so it's super strong. So utilize it. Okay, utilize it, and of course, the effect does not stack. So if you have multiple engineers on the team, you have to wait using your time lapse after the time lapse buff on your team has ended. Okay, so you have to time it because it's not going to stack. Okay, you're going to be wasting cooldowns if you cast it at the same time. So I see this a lot of times in Lava Valley. The start of the round, both engineers cast their time lapse. Now they're down one special skill, right? So always time it right. Whenever I see another engineer in my team, I usually wait for a bit. If they cast their time lapse, then I'm not gonna cast mine. Or if there's another engineer in my team, I'm going to switch to my second deck actually. But more on that later. Next is for the passive skills. So the passive skills that I chose to go with are Last Grace, Pure Therapy, and an optional Speed Aura. Over here, you can use HP Aura, Attack Aura, or Defense Aura as well over here. Okay, so Last Grace for the survivability. Actually, the 20% max HP shield is super strong. Super strong. Okay, because this is actually sometimes this actually saves you from a one-hit Tarakona skill, right? So it can help you survive Tarakona from a whale, and also just increases your survivability overall. Next is Pure Therapy. Just increases your shield recovery by 15%. Okay, so on the caster or a party member. So any heals that you are going to do, it's going to be much larger. Okay, 15% better, and also shield HP plus 15%. So it works well with Last Grace. Okay, and then for the last optional one is Speed Aura. I'm only using Speed Aura here for the movement speed because I like running around, kiting around people. But if you're not comfortable with doing that, you can just go ahead and use HP Aura and or Defense Aura. Okay, another optional one is Healing Cycle. If you have a high level Healing Cycle, it can also go to this slot because this one actually gives you another bonus or another shields when you're getting extra healing. Right, so if you're trying to heal your teammates while you haven't received any damage, you can actually benefit from it by getting shields from just healing your teammates. Okay, so if you have a high level healing cycle, it's actually pretty good because at level 10 it's up to 15% of max HP. At least at level 5 it's 10%, or actually level 4. So if you have it at level 4, I think it's already pretty good, but I think at 8% it's kind of okay. Right, so these are the builds that you can do. I highly recommend using Last Grace and Pure Therapy first. Okay, so you get this one from the Domination Medal, and then of course third passive slot is situational, and of course based on your preferences. Okay, as well as the active skills I forgot to mention for Grasping Thorn. Grasping Thorn here is actually not mandatory. Mandatory is Flash Shield and Time Lapse as a support. And then Grasping Thorn, I'm using it for extra damage and also for the bind effect, because Grasping Thorn is actually super strong in conjunction with my combo on Natrum Earrings. I'm actually using Natrum Earrings and I have high earth attack. So just using Grasping Thorn is actually super strong for me. But if you don't have that kind of build, if you're not using a Natrum's Earrings for your necklace, then you can definitely change it up. You can actually use Healing Branches on this spot for more heals and more survivability. Actually, this is more recommended for a support player, especially if you're really going to all in on support. And if you have, let's talk about familiars later, but if you have Crab, if you took Crab from the special rare familiars, then it's actually going to be much better. If you don't want to put in Healing Branches, you can go for Meteorite as well. Meteorite provides you with another stun. And if you don't like Meteorite, you can go with Dark Balloon, or your another option here is actually, well, if you have Complete Chaos, you can actually use that as well. Shadow Disc if you have Shadow Disc as well. Okay, so this is a flex spot depending on how you want to use your third slot. If you want another healing skill, or if you want another CC or stun skill to follow up with your burst call over here. Okay, so that's for all the skills that we have for the support Okay, for familiars, I'm not gonna talk much about it because I'm currently using Tarracona. If you have Tarracona, then use them. If you have Molten Lion, I'm actually thinking using Molten Lion already, but I don't know actually who should I be replacing. Thinking of replacing probably Hippocampus and then put in my... Probably gonna look like this. Okay, for my PvP. So it's triple fire familiar. So if you have Molten Lion, then use Molten Lion. Molten Lion is super strong for survivability. So you don't get killed by Breaking Wave, Battle Cry, and Distortion Arrow. Can actually save your life from those 3 skills. Once Molten Lion skill has ended, you can go ahead and cast your Flash Heal. Or vice versa. It doesn't matter actually. Okay, so some options that you can put in, of course, I'll talk about this more later. You can put in Toko or who else? Toko, Maitsui, Ryu, Ouroboros. Those familiars are still good. Okay, you can put in Stagthorn as well if you have it. If you have him, it can also help you with some survivability and free stun. Sorbor as well. If you have Sorbor, you can actually use Sorbor over here. It can look like something like this. Right, so it's going to be Might, Sorbor, and Molten Lion if you don't have Tarracona. So Sorbor is actually a budget Tarracona. Okay, so that's for the familiar. Pets, if whatever pets you have, use them. Right, so that's for my first PvP. Okay, next one, second PvP build. So I've already talked about a lot in the first build. So it's actually going to be easier to talk about the second build because I've gone through a lot of the details already. So second build is going to be it's going to be a DPS build, right? So remember I told you about Milky Way. Going for Milky Way is super strong, and you can see my build here is drastically changed. Well, not really, because we still have Flash Heal. As I've said, Flash Heal is the engineer's signature skill. Without Flash Heal, I don't know why you're going to pick engineer. Okay, so yeah. So for the special skills, I'm going with Grasping Thorns and Ground Eruption. Both of these are super strong when used with Natrum Earrings. So I'm using them because of Natrum Earrings, and Ground Eruption is one of the skills that has one of the highest multipliers in the game. So it's a one hit with huge multiplier. Okay, it has a huge multiplier. The higher level it is, the better. Right now I have mine at level 6. Okay, Grasping Thorn as well, super strong spell. And yeah, next thing here that I have is Perfect Chance. So one of the better passives that you can get from the Magic Tome shop. Fast Forward is fine, but problem with Fast Forward is it's not really worth it unless it's really high level already. But Perfect Chance, it's already actually usable even at just level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay, again we have Last Grace over here, and we have Attack Boost. If you want to ensure having Attack Aura on your team, you can put in Attack Aura over here. I usually don't because I'm just relying on my teammates to bring on their own, but hopefully they actually bring it. Okay, I just don't want to be wasting a slot for my skills because I think Attack Boost is already good for me, right? Attack Boost already gives me 5% extra damage and another 5% from Attack Aura. So if I remove Attack Aura to gamble on my teammates to bring in their own Attack Aura, then I think I would be stronger, much stronger in the game. Okay, so this is the one I'm running, more survivability from Last Grace, and then for familiars, it's going to be the same thing. Okay, so yeah, that's it for both of my builds. Another build that I have here, so much more free-to-play friendly. So I think I've already covered this one. So you can go for all heals, right? All heals, healing branches, flash heal, and time lapse. And then for the familiars, you can go with Might, Sorbor, and Toko. Right, for the passives, you can go with Pure Therapy, Last Grace, and HP Aura, Defense Aura, Speed Aura, Healing Cycle. So there's a lot of options for the third one. But as I've said, Last Grace, Pure Therapy, Flash Heal, and Time Lapse are your priorities on the Domination Medal shop. Okay? So I think that's it really. Healing branches here again is optional. You can change it with Meteor Strike, Grasping Thorns, or whatever skill that you prefer. So yeah, that's all for my guide right now. For equipments, I'm not really gonna talk much about equipments. But if you want to get some thoughts on equipments from what I have here right now. So actually, I'm already planning on working on Heaven's Judgment. Heaven's Judgment is one of the stronger rare equipments or rare accessories because it stuns for 3 seconds. 3 seconds is a long time. If you hit someone with this one, they're most likely dead. They're most likely dead unless they have Molten Lion. Okay? Next one is Volcanic Heart based on the familiars that I'm using. So equipment is more situational and yeah, it depends on what you have really. That's why I don't like recommending much on equipment builds. Okay, so Volcanic Heart's very strong effect. Fire Familiar's skill cooldown reduction for minus 8.5%, which means you can cast Tarakona's skill much more, Might skill much more, and Molten Lion skill much more. Okay, it reduces those cooldown. Okay, for armor, PvP, of course, the rare armors are really good for PvP, but only if you have them at least Awaken 3 or even if you have them cursed. I always recommend going for Berserker's gloves instead of Master's gloves or Dynasty gloves because the benefit that you get from the basic skill cooldown reduction plus your time-lapse skill cooldown reduction is actually super great. Very great. Right? It makes your cooldowns so much faster. You will be able to cast your stuns so much more and your skills so much more, which in turn will convert a lot of your skills into more DPS over time. So yeah, and more stuff on equipment. 4-star equipments don't really give you much effects when it comes to PvP, but the second and third awakening effects are actually very viable. So if you have them at least Awaken 7, just use the 4-star ones instead of the rare ones if you have the rare ones. And of course, Saintly Circlet for the defense. I don't really use Immortal Helmet, even though it gives you resist rate on stuns, knockdown, and subdue. I think the stats that you get from Saintly Circlet is much better. Okay, so yeah, that's it for equipments. Talking about gems, so gems, it's recommended if you can actually transcend them all to level 10 already. Go ahead and do that. I'm choosing Evasion. Usually it's all Evasion and then Crit. Okay, so it's all Evasion over here. And for the Joker slot, it's going to be Crimson Cross all the way. Okay, Evasion, Crimson Cross. And then Triple Evasion over here. And then here we have Crit. Crit accuracy crit. So that's what I did with armor and boots. Crit accuracy crit. Okay, crit accuracy. And then for the weapons, it's going to be crit attack. Crit accuracy attack. Actually, I still have some accuracy gem. So, oh well. I'm not going to change them right now. So yeah, that's it for my guide. Hopefully you learned something. If you guys have something or secret text that you have for engineer, let us know in the comments below. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. See you again next time. Bye-bye.